Our hardest cases are the ones that, for whatever reason, kind of strike a nerve and strike a chord in our hearts. And one was kind of, I think, probably the hardest case I've ever seen. And it wasn't necessarily the amount of trauma. The child suffered an enormous amount of trauma. It was more the environment that she was in. And she presented very sick, and she was admitted to the hospital and to the ICU for several days. And at the time, the family said there was no trauma, and they were kind of in shock and had no idea what happened. The family was well educated, they were well respected, they were really involved in their community. So it was really hard for her to wrap her mind around something bad had happened to her child. We went through a lot with that case, I think, a lot of trying to explain things to the family, and then eventually the father confessed, and now he's in prison. Which was, I think, also one of the hardest days, because you would think that it'd make us all feel better, and it did to some extent. But in the end, no one really wins. This little girl is going to be somehow developmentally delayed or hurt for the rest of her life. Her family is, broken apart, and father's in prison. So it wasn't really a win. But it was also a win that we knew that she was safe, and we knew that there was some justice.
Insuring the Children actually started back in the late 1990s. And it was started by the Cincinnati CPCU Society. They had a group of officers who really wanted to create good works. One thing that they felt so passionate about, if you look at the insurance industry, the insurance industry protects assets. And what greater asset do we have than our children? We get many more grant requests than we can fund.
Insuring the Children has been there from the beginning for our fellowship program. We've had a fellowship program here since 1998. So really, even before the doors of the Mayerson Center opened, we've had a fellowship program, and we owe so much of that to Insuring the Children and just being a very wonderful partner in that and a consistent funder.
The CASA volunteer is assigned a child, and then they get to know the child and make sure that the child is safe from harm while they're in the system. And that's oftentimes miraculous, because kids in the foster care system are 10 times more likely to be hurt than other kids. So we want the children to be safe. So CASA will visit them and monitor them and get to know everybody in their lives, their parents, their foster parents, their social workers, and they'll bring all that information to the court's attention so that the court can then do what's in their best interest.
It's tough. It's horrible seeing children being abused, but you know that they need help. They're completely innocent. They need somebody to speak up for them. And I think I got more back from the children than they got from me.
Every child would do better with a CASA volunteer. There's research that backs that up. So if anyone's thinking, well, I really don't have a lot of money, it doesn't matter. Any amount can help.
When you're aware of the problem, you're aware that children in your child's school or in your neighborhood have been abused, it can be a very jarring moment when you realize it's all around you. And there are different ways to help. So donating, of course, would provide us with support and provide others with support that is so important. And no matter how you support, whether it's your time, your money, your expertise, it all contributes. It's a team effort to help these children through and help these families through. So everything helps.
My father's parents died when he was 6 months old. And he was brought up in an orphanage. And he went through the foster parent program. And for him, it worked. By me doing this, I can give back in his name.